Please join me in giving a massive round of applause for our Power Rangers panelists. Here we go. Are you ready? That was very quiet. Let's try that again. Are you ready? What time is it? Try it again. What time is it? There we go. But come on, Birmingham. Let's give our Power Rangers a massive round of applause. Let's give a round of applause for Adam Tuominen, who plays the Princeton Ranger. Let's get it up for Jorge Vargas, who plays Break Badly, the Navy Blue Ranger. Let's give it up for Jason Faunt, who plays Wesley Collins, the Red Time Force Ranger.
What's up, everybody?
G'day, g'day, g'day.
Check, check. Hello, hello. How's everybody?
So guys, thank you very much for coming out and joining us today. And I'm loving the collection we have on the table right now of these incredible Power Ranger helmets. They're amazing. So what is it like for you guys then coming out here, coming to a place like Birmingham and getting to step outside of the production bubble and see the love that people have for the series that you've done?
Well, for me, this is the first time I've been to the UK, so that's an amazing point for me, straight up. And then to come out here and meet the fans and be at a Comic-Con of this size and all the amazing cosplayers and everything has been just a fan experience for myself as well. So it's been awesome so far.
Yeah, first off, thanks to reedpop and MCM Comic-Con for having us and our family out here. Yeah, it's great to come out and see all the fans and all the cosplayers. And we got to, Tori showed up today. That was cool.
I got to admit, I'm looking at a cosplayer just here, and there's a creepy nun looking straight at me next to a Red Ranger. I'm like, all right, come on,
I just
someone
saw
get
that
mad
just staring.
The best was when I saw 4 or 5 Spider-Men and women crossing paths at the same time. It was the best. Oh, and Pickle Rick. I think I saw Pickle Rick out there as well.
I think I saw that as well earlier. It's very amazing. And for you guys then, how did you kind of each get involved in the Power Rangers universe, and kind of how familiar were you with it before you started it?
Well, for me, I always say Power Rangers was an audition that went well. I mean, at that time, I was doing soap operas and other shows, and I read for Power Rangers the first year, didn't get it. They brought me back a year later, didn't get it, and they brought me back a third year, finally got it. So I was very familiar with the show. I was older at the time, so I hadn't watched it much, but I quickly realized, you know, ironically, after the show was done, after I was done filming, how big it is. You know, coming to these conventions and meeting the fans, and you see the kind of impact you had in people's lives. I think after the show was over, I realized how big it was versus during.
Yeah, look, when I was very familiar, and I was familiar with Jason's series. I used to watch it as a kid. When you get back from school, you know, you get your cereal out after you've been at school, and then you sit down and watch Power Rangers. So to be standing next to him and meeting the fans and signing with the fans has also been a great experience, because this whole legacy, so to speak, of the Power Rangers is just one big family, not just with the other Rangers when you meet them, but also the fans themselves. I think we got one of the best fandoms in a lot of these Comic-Cons, because they're spread out across all countries, all languages. You know, I've seen myself dubbed in French and Spanish, which is hilarious. But yeah, just feel a lot of love when we come out to these sort of things, and you know, it's a really humbling experience and great to be a part of it.
For me, I definitely dressed up as a ranger for Halloween. Same thing with him, like eating with my cereal, watching the show. I mean, I myself, I'm a fanboy for all things pop culture, and when I come to these themselves, I geek out myself when I see a lot of these people and characters. So yeah, it's great to be a part of it.
And one of the things about Power Rangers is probably not, well, I don't know, it's kind of, for most of you, it must be kind of surreal, because you get to be like what every little boy wants to be when they're growing up. You get to be a superhero. So what is that like? And then what is it like when you get the crushing reality of the fact you have to wear very tight-fitting outfits in some parts of it? So how do you kind of deal with the two kind of flip sides of that coin?
Well, if you notice, we brought the helmets, but
Yes.
not the spandex.
Yeah, I was...
we're a hero from the head up.
Oh, we actually did have to get into the spandex because on our series we had open-face visors and then they would do the CGI closing of it. And I must admit, when all of us were on set and you're walking around for 8 hours in the spandex, especially when it's hot. In New Zealand, it wasn't often hot, but sometimes you get a hot day and we'd all be sort of looking for the nearest shade. And you learn how to find a place to sleep in pretty uncomfortable clothing because you've got a lot of time out there. But look, walking around dressed as a Power Ranger, you do feel that strength of being a superhero. So as a fan of that sort of thing, I felt pretty blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah, I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. It was hard for them to get it off me. So when we filmed a lot of it, we were out of the suits, except for when we did a lot of the press. So it wasn't often I got to wear the suit. So when we did it, yeah, I had to peel it off me. I was like, this is great. I'm running around in this thing.
And for all of you then, when the show is done, and when do you realize how popular it is? When was the first time you got a real taste of how popular your individual series were?
Oh, well, specifically for us, I mean, we all shot our series. Ours was 15 years ago, so it was before social media or anything like that. But we'd get a lot of written fan mail, and that would come each week. After we finished shooting on a Thursday, I think we'd get a whole bunch of handwritten letters from people, and so that was pretty crazy. But then I really didn't feel the size of the fandom until Facebook and things like that came out, and people were trying to friend request and not trying to. I accept any fans' requests, and it just sort of blew up, and I was like, wow, there is a massive cult following for this, and so it was great to be a part of that.
I mean, I myself had the Power Ranger toy way before the show, so and now my son, who with Netflix and other streaming, they can relive the show and be a fan now. So I have an opportunity with my boy to kind of relive it again through him. So there's like a whole new generation, along with the movie now. It's kind of being introduced to Power Rangers again.
I think for me, the first recognition of it, I had done the show and then the show had ended, and these Comic-Cons had not taken off in my mind at that point. So I had been off the show and doing other projects. And then in 2011, they invited me back to do a Comic-Con. And I thought, well, these guys are gonna wanna see me. I mean, I was the guy, 7, 8 years ago. I didn't want to be like the guy in college coming back to high school, So they said, no, trust me, Time Force became a cult favorite, and you gotta come back. And I came back, didn't really want to do it, but I came back to a Comic-Con, and the fans were amazing. And I think at that point I realized, oh my God, like there was something special about the Time Force season, because the response and the fans and the lines at that first Morphicon was huge. And I think that's where I really realized, like, oh my God, this is really something special. And then since then I've been embracing these Comic-Cons because it gives you a chance to meet everybody.
And Jorge, you mentioned they're kind of rediscovering Power Rangers through your son's eyes. What about when you first saw your action figure though? And did you, and I suppose same for all of you, did you all keep your action figures? And like, how was that like to finally have an action figure of, in a sense, yourself?
Yeah, there was one that we actually recorded some voice. Yeah, it had the face of it. So I remember the day getting that toy and taking it out of the package. Just the buzz of it. And now I can, when we can find the toy, I could be like, my son gets to play with his dad's figure, and I think that's pretty cool for me right now as a dad.
Yeah, I gave mine to my nephew, but his mum, my sister, told him he wasn't allowed to take it out of the box. So it's still in the box. But interesting story about that. When we first met the guy that did the art for the actual faces of the toys, we had a big dinner and we all sat around the table. He had to come and sit next to each of us. And we're sitting there having a conversation, but he's sitting there studying our faces to make the toy when he went back to Japan, I think it was, where he was making them. And it was crazy because we're having a conversation, yet I could see him sort of doing this and doing that and looking this way. So it was a weird conversation, but yeah, it's interesting. And then when I got the toy, the amazing job they did with the actual face and having the voice and the catchphrases on there was pretty epic. 12-inch toy, so it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, I think we were one of the first seasons to have our faces on it. And I hadn't gotten my toy yet. They were going to give us our share of them, and so they're like, well, they're available at a place called Target in America. I don't know if you guys have that here, but so I went to the store, and I'm sitting here, and this is a true story, and I go into it, and they've got our action figures up on the wall, and their faces are on it, and there's a lady sitting there. It was right around, I want to say her son's birthday, and she's sitting there going, well, I'm sitting there looking at the toy, and she's looking at the toys, and she goes, I don't know much about this show. Which one should I get? And I go, I'd get the red one. She goes, how come? I go, because it's me. And she goes, oh my God, you got to come to our house. And I'm like, I can't do that, but I appreciate it. But literally, she was just shocked that I was sitting looking at it, and that was my first moment where I saw it, and it was really cool. It's really cool.
And for you, when you're filming, and I know it was quite a while ago for all of you, but what was the kind of typical day like on the set for you when you're filming this series?
Well, yeah, so you guys were Disney, the first Disney season,
Yes.
right? So it might be really different stories. For us, we were fighting an upcoming writer strike, so they were trying to get all the episodes in the can. So we were doing usually 6 days a week, 10, 12-hour a day, only because they were anticipating this pending strike, and once the writer strike happened, we were done filming, so we were trying to get it all in. So once I booked the role, I was filming 5, 6 days a week. I really didn't see much of the world until we were done. That's how much it was, you'd film for 10 hours, you go to the gym and work out, then you go home and eat dinner and start studying your lines for the next day. So we were pretty intensive with our shooting schedule.
Yeah, we basically start, maybe the car would come to pick us up about 5:30 in the morning. We'd wait half an hour for Jorge to come down, and then and then we'd head out to set. We'd get out there probably, we'd spend till about 6 o'clock at night, and that's 5 days a week. Disney were doing 3 episodes every fortnight, so it wasn't. Sometimes it'd be full on, depending on whether or not we were shooting on location, where you'd have to get up at 4 in the morning just to get out there by 6 to start shooting, and then finish up at 6. But look, it was a lot of, Jason Chan, who played the Green Ranger in my series, came up with a good saying that, they pay me to wait, I'll do the acting for free, because you'd go out on set, you get your makeup done, and then you'd wait for 2-3 hours. Then you'd go on set after they'd set up the shot, you'd do your acting, and then you'd go and wait again. So a lot of waiting around, but luckily we had trailers we could go sleep in and mess up our hair so that makeup girls would go a bit insane.
Yeah, being able to spend almost like a year and change there in Auckland, New Zealand, it was amazing. All the locations we got to film, it really wasn't work. Getting to see all these places. It was like there was some waiting around, but that would be about it. But fantastic pictures and memories of all the places that we filmed. I would love to go back anytime soon.
And for all of you, what kind of memories do you have? What kind of fond, apart from visiting the places, what kind of fond memories do you have of your time filming?
I think the most fond memory I had was working with the stunt doubles. Like, we all had Japanese stunt doubles. There wasn't a lot of English spoken, so it was all done by movement. So a lot of the fight scenes were the way that we communicated. But that was probably the highlight for me, because these guys were amazing at what they did. The martial arts and the stunts, Alpha Stunts. Koichi Sakamoto was the leader of that, and he'd been doing it from when you guys, from conception. They were pretty crazy, and some of the stuff they did, we'd even go out onto set early just to go and watch what they were doing. Maybe on a second unit day, you'd feel pretty lucky, because that's most of where the fight scenes were done, and the special effects, the explosions, all that sort of stuff. So they were pretty exciting days when we got to sit out there and watch them do that.
For me, we did some motocross in our show, so when we first got there, they wanted to see how well we could ride. And we did a little short training day, and the nice guy that was training us that day, he's like, all right, I want you to do a figure 8 on the bike, and then just come back and brake on this line. Started up the bike and started going down the beach, and it wasn't me. Something inside me took over and just started throttling it up. and I reached this speed that was matching the waves, and I'm pretty sure I was screaming and just crying and just like, ah! I don't know how far I went, but I came back slowly. I wasn't in too much trouble, but they kept me off the bike after that.
I don't know, for me, I think it was just, our cast was very close. We just all took on a very strong brother-sister bond. So we just have so many memories, and I'm very close with those guys today. We do a lot of shows together, so I don't know. It was every day we were there to play. I kept forgetting they were paying me, you know. So like I said, we just had a lot of fun doing it. So every day was a great memory.
And Jason, they brought you back recently to do some more work on some of the later series. How did you feel when they kind of explained that to you and said, we want you to come back? What was that like to revisit the universe those years later?
You know, once I started doing the Comic-Cons and I realized how big these are, it was cool because now you're in close touch with a lot of the other Rangers. You meet some of those guys from the past. You see the vast popularity that they have. So anytime you get to go back to the show is exciting. Because you've got now these friends. And when I went back to the Super Mega Force, it was a lot of the same crew. You know, producers, directors, you know, Koichi, you came back for that. So it was like a glorified high school reunion, the one you wanted to go to and see everybody. And Ninja Steel the same way. You know, they came back and said, we want to do this, and you know, we want to make this reunion episode a little more special, and they start getting your input on stuff, and so it's cool to go back and see everybody. Very excited.
And you two as well, you've both come back as well and done other spots in other series as well. So what was it like for you kind of revisiting and seeing a different story being told, but still being Power Rangers?
Yeah, so we came back for the Dino Thunder, which was the reunion episodes after we did our season, and we got to work with those guys, and they were great. Really great season. The Disney season started off really great, really good cast. Jason, David, and Frank came back for that one, so we as a couple got to work with him quite a bit as that Sixth Ranger. So yeah, we had a good time. You know, we spent two more weeks in New Zealand, and it was very much the story around the Ninja Storm, people coming back and being bad guys, and then us coming through and trying to get everyone back together. And yeah, it was good to work with some different Rangers, but also, you know, even coming to these Comic-Cons and meeting Jason and, you know, being here with them and realizing what such a big family it is, you know, from one season to the other. You know, you're already sort of good friends because you know of each other and you've seen each other around the trap, so that's part of it as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun doing Dino Thunder.
Yeah, the reunion episode, I think, really kind of set it home. You know, being able to kind of be there with another legacy character like another JDF or Jason here, like it was when we did that scene when we lined up with them. It was kind of like I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. yeah, I can't believe I'm morphing with Jason right now.
Might take you right back to your childhood when you saw the original series and things like that.
Yes, very much so.
So we're going to open the question out to you, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have a question you'd like to ask our guest, please feel free to stick your hand up and I'll come around to you.
Don't be shy. There we go.
There's a few hands popping up already. So we're going to start with this young man down here.
How did you summon your Zords?
How did you summon your Zords?
Well, my Zord, I think I put my hand up in the air and go, Power of Thunder. Thunder Insectizord, and then it busts through a mountain. So yeah, that's how I summoned mine. I just called him and he busted through a mountain.
I think mine was the Beetlezord. Right. I actually tried to find it on online, eBay. It was kind of hard to find. I don't know. Are you about yours?
Oh, our Megazord, yeah. I forgot how we summoned it, but we just found a way to get it, and then we tore up the city.
No, but I really loved filming those scenes where we were in the cockpit of the Megazord. That was always fun. Yeah. Because it always reminded me of the classic Power Rangers scene when they're being shot inside.
And we have a question for the young person, for a lady here. 2 questions, okay.
How did you become a Power Ranger?
How does he become a Power Ranger?
How does he become a Power Ranger, he wants to know.
Well, eat your Wheaties every day. Make sure you eat your vegetables so you grow up big and strong, and always stick to the good morals and be a good guy to everyone.
Yeah, study hard, listen to your parents, maybe do some martial arts. I think you're already halfway there, buddy.
Did you have a second question?
Where's the other Power Rangers?
The other
Where are the other
where
Power Rangers?
They're all over the world, literally and figuratively. Some are in different countries right now, and some are back in America, and others are visiting fans like you in different countries as well. So we're all over the world.
Yeah, we got a few from our series that are in New Zealand, like me in Australia, and then some from Canada and things like that. So that's what's the beauty of Power Rangers is they're all over the world and also, you know, loved all over the world as well. So very multicultural superheroes.
And we have a question. Carry on, Jorge, sorry.
No, just saying, great question, Spider-Man.
And we have a question from a person here.
Hi guys.
Is that a person?
I cosplay Master Sledge, who's an arch-villain of the Power Ranger. Out of all the series, which is your most iconic villain and why?
He cosplays Master Sledge out of the Power Rangers, who's one of the villains. And he was asking, what is your favorite villain out of all the Power Rangers series and why?
Mine would be Starvark, because I voiced him.
I enjoyed Tubo from our series because he was just that funny, dorky guy that tried to take us out, but we always had trouble doing it.
Mine's Rancic, Vernon Wells. I thought he was an amazing bad guy, and he's had quite a career. So Vernon Wells playing Rancic is mine.
Lothar was pretty cool. I like the way he did. I like how Grant voiced him.
And we've got a question down the front.
Power Rangers features a lot of martial arts. Do you guys have any actual martial arts training?
I did some judo as a youth, yeah.
Yeah, I did karate for 5 years, from when I was about 8 to 13, and got to red belt 2 stripes, which I think was about 3 away from black. But my twin brother and I used to just put the couch pillows on the floor of the TV room and just bash each other.
I studied Jeet Kune Do for a while, but this was before Power Rangers, so Jeet Kune Do was my background.
And a question here in the middle.
Yeah, I got a good one. If you imagine if the current Power Rangers could take on the ones from the past in the 90s, which one would you think you could go back and battle against, and why?
That is a good question. I'd probably battle against the Silver in Space Ranger, Justin Nemo, because yeah, we'd have a fun battle because it would be a lot of fun payouts and jokes. I hope he's watching this Facebook Live because he'll probably write something about it anyway, saying that he'd take me out, no problems. He actually did say to me the other day, is there thunder in space? And I said, of course there is, mate.
I'd like to battle Jason here. And then I'd probably be taken out in the first round, but then my bro would step in, I think.
And then I'd get taken out too.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I guess that's hard to answer. They're such close friends of mine. But I always like to play around with Steve Cardenas, Rocky. Him and I always like to joke each other. I mean, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so he's not a guy you want to roll in a mat with, but I'll just say Rocky for fun.
And I got a question here.
Hi. Did anyone get badly injured during any of the scenes?
Actually, there was some of the stunnies broke some bones. I don't know if it was one of the episode where I'm running out of the tunnel with a torch, and my mentor jumps over my head and does a flip. The stunny who did that rolled the ankle and broke. So for the remainder of the shoot, all of the cast for that certain, who was it? I think it was my stunt. He had to start doing the rest of Tori's stunts.
So he was dressed up in Tori's.
Yeah,
it was funny when he had the helmet off and he was dressed in Tori's dress and blue spandex. But there was one fight scene actually where Pua dislocated his shoulder, and they actually got it on camera. He was just doing a pretty innocuous block, and it just came out. He'd had a lot of dislocated shoulders. But the funny part was the car ride home. They gave him the red whistle for the pain, and yeah, he was pretty hilarious with some of the stuff he was coming out with in the haze of all the pain. But yeah, they actually had it on one of the rushes. You can actually see where it comes out, and it wasn't nice for him, but quite funny for us to watch.
Yeah, we had a lot of the alpha stunts are some of the best stuntmen in the world, and a lot of those explosions, even though it's a kids show, are very big and very real. So when they set those explosions up, the timing has to be perfect, because when you're running through, even as the actors or the stuntmen, once you cross through, they're literally igniting these things like grenades. And so one of our stuntmen, he mistimed the jump, and the explosion went off in his face. What was his name? You guys know him. I forgot his name now. Yeah, little guy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Kaizu. And it ended up being okay, but he had to go to the hospital, and he had some. But that was probably the biggest one, as it exploded in his face.
Wow. And you have a question for this person?
Yes. Hello. Just a quick question. Did you get to choose what color ranger you wanted to be?
No.
No. Well, actually,
No, but I would have chose red.
I actually originally got cast as the Yellow Ranger, and my agent at the time said, "Oh, I'm putting you up for other things," and I was pretty upset because I loved Power Rangers and I really wanted to do it. So I ended up rejecting that, and then they came back with the Crimson Ranger, and I'm sort of glad he did that, because when I look at it now, I don't think I could see myself doing anything other than Crimson. So yeah, that was sort of a little bit of serendipity, but yeah, originally cast as the Yellow, and then got Crimson after that.
Who became Yellow?
That was Glenn McMillan became Yellow. So he was actually auditioning from my hometown, Adelaide, and I was in Sydney at the time. And I was originally cast, and then they came back after I'd said no and offered the next one. And at the time, I just left drama school. I couldn't even pay rent, so I was like, well, I'm going to take this job regardless of what my agent thinks, So yeah, it was a great choice on my behalf, thanks to that agent who I'm not with anymore.
Perfect. And one more as well. Obviously, Jason David Frank became a very iconic member of the Power Rangers. Obviously, I know he joined quite late within the Mighty Morphin series. He was my favourite personally as well, throughout Zeo and into Turbo. So how was it when you met him when you were doing your rejuvenation into the other series? Just to be with him, how did it feel? Because I mean, if he was here now, I think I'd most probably cry, because he was my favourite one.
No, he's a real cool guy. He is what you expect when what you see. Like what you see is what you get. And I actually would probably, if he was here now, I'd probably try to get him to get me to jump out of a plane. I think that's a life goal, to jump out of a plane. I have a fear of that, but at the same time, it's something I want to do.
Yeah, look, when we met him, it was just like meeting any other Power Ranger. He was a really down-to-earth guy, and as I said before, meeting Jace and some of the other Rangers that I've met at Power MorphCon, you're sort of an instant friend, you're an instant family member, because you got that Power Ranger thing in common. So when we first met, yeah, it was sort of like just meeting another actor that we're gonna just about to work with. So yeah, he was very down to earth, like every other Power Ranger that I've ever met. I instantly get along with all of them, so it's nice to be a part of the group.
And we got a question for gentleman here at the back.
Hi there. First off, I'd just like to say Thunder Rangers are much cooler than the Wind Rangers. And Time Force, one of my favourite storylines.
Thank you.
My main question is to Jason. What was it like filming the Forever Red episode in Wild Force?
You know, it was when they decided to do that, I don't think we realized it would be as big as it became. I had not met a lot of those Red Rangers, so going in, I was thinking, I wonder how this will work out. You've got a lot of big personalities in one room with very limited screen time, so I kind of went in going, I wonder if this will really pan out, but it did. We all had a great time together. We filmed for a few days, so we all got to stay up, you know, get away for a long weekend outside of LA. But we had a great time doing it. It was a lot of fun. Everyone got along well, and then it ended up being, you know, such a cool episode that people to this day love. So it worked out well.
I have a question from a young fan here.
Can you speak? Can you speak?
What's your question, buddy?
Go on then.
I love Time Force. What did he say?
Yeah.
Jorge, you're my favorite actor.
What did you want to ask them? You wanted to ask them what it was like being a Power Ranger, didn't you?
What is the
He wants to know what is it like being a Power Rangers?
It's amazing. We get to come and meet super cool people like you, and make a whole bunch of other friends and all the cosplayers. I get to travel with my boy who's a little bit older than you. So yeah, it's amazing. I mean, this is 15 years, I don't know how many years it's been for you, but we're already 15, 16 years after making that TV show, and it's still part of our lives. So yeah, I can't say anything. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so glad and lucky that it's part of my life.
It's really awesome.
Question from this gentleman here.
Hi guys, it's a really pleasure to see you and meet you. It's the first Comic-Con I've come to, and I brought my son with me for his birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, mate.
He's a big Power Rangers fan. I got him into that myself. So, but what I did want to ask is, Jason, where did you study Jeet Kune Do?
I studied with Burton Richardson in Redondo Beach, California. So Burton had his own studio out there. He was pretty well renowned at the point, and he was going to move to Hawaii to start teaching. So Burton was the main instructor there, Burton Richardson.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is I'm a Jeet Kune Do instructor in the UK myself. Under Grandmaster Richard Bastello, who was in LA, and Burton Richardson was one of his students who became an instructor.
He was under Dan Insano, right? I mean,
under Dan Insano, yeah. So yeah, it was just interesting to see who you actually studied with. So that was cool. Yeah, thanks.
So you know Burton, right?
Yeah. I've met him before and did some Carly and Eskrima with him. So yeah, he's a really tricky guy to train with, but interesting.
Yeah.
So is it all right if my son asks a question for you? Is that okay? Yeah, cool.
Hi, I just wanted to ask if you could do your morphing sequence that you do in the show.
Yeah, I reckon we could work that after the questions. We could try and get up there and do a bit of a morph for you.
At some point, that does always come up. Yeah, we'll do it at the end. We'll get some good pictures.
It's your birthday.
We got a Red Ranger with a question.
Looking cool, man. Good suit.
Hi, guys. I just want to ask two questions. One was, you know how you said, looking back, you look at Tommy and all the original Rangers, going on through the years, how does it feel now to be that sort of status? Those legendary Rangers that you are now, from being new and looking up at these guys to years later, the new people are now looking up at you, and across all the Ranger fandoms, you guys are the legends.
Oh well, first of all, I'll say shucks, because I'm not sure I've ever put myself in that league. But it was interesting, at Power Morphicon and meeting Dave Hector from Samurai, and he was saying how, you know, he would walk through the halls and see photos of us up on the wall and stuff like that, and I was sort of like, wow, you know, I never thought that we would ever get to that state. I still don't really believe that. I mean, I see all the other guys and go, wow, you know, I've seen these guys as I've grown up, and also doing the show and looking back at the other series and going, they're amazing. So I never really put myself in that league. So to hear that come out of your mouth is quite humbling. So yeah, I thank you for one, and two, it does feel really cool to be a part of it. And I'm starting to feel that just by meeting some of the fans that we've met here and previously. It's a very, very humbling experience.
You know, I appreciate you saying that as well, but I do not feel I am nowhere near the legacy as a man here. But no, yeah, it's great to walk around. You're like, just today I was like, hey, you can see your toy, and it doesn't get old. It doesn't get old.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a great question. At what point does that happen, right? At what point do you feel that you're part of that? So I think, like them, I will look at the other guys, like, you know, Jason, David, Frank, and those guys, and you look at them in that way, and you think of yourself not in the same manner because of kind of what they did to build this to what paved the way for guys like us. So I think, like anything else, when you say that, you don't think of it. You just look at those guys. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. I mean, it was something special. I had no idea at the time that I'd embark on this journey. I was, you know, working on and off, waiting tables, and it was a chance to actually be an actor full time, so you jumped at it, and I never could have imagined this many years later I'd be coming back on the show, being all over the world doing it. It's unthinkable. So I'm just happy to be a part of the journey.
I think it comes to when people aren't going to come to the con, and I know a lot of people that have only come because of you guys. I mean, that's the sort of status that you hit. And just off the back of that, these suits are not the most comfortable thing to wear, we both know that. What was your reaction when you first put on the suit? The first, when you auditioned, but when you fully got it on and you look at yourself in the mirror.
For my season, putting on the helmet had its own effect, but also strapping on the ninja outfit, you know, it would take some time. Like, you'd get to your room and the wardrobe would be there. I won't lie, by the time you're putting on the boots and the zippers and everything's getting in there, you actually start kind of feeling
regal.
Yeah.
You're regal, right?
Yeah. Like, maybe that you do have some powers.
Yeah. Admittedly, underneath the, you know, you're not allowed to wear your normal undies, so we had to wear a G-string. So that was something new for me. I was sort of like, wow, this is interesting. But no, I must admit, when we first did the show, I got the first ever. You know, remember when Nokia came out with the first camera phone? That was back when we were doing the show. It was like the first camera phone that came out, and I remember taking a photo of myself in the suit with the helmet under my arm, and I remember looking back at that photo, just going, wow. I'm a Power Ranger.
Did you notice, like, there's a couple of first pictures of us in the outfit. I don't know if you had this problem, but we didn't know, like, none of us knew how to stand like a ranger, so the first couple of photo shoots, everybody's kind of like standing there awkward, like not sure. I think Glenn's doing the splits.
Yeah. We were mucking around quite a bit. It did sort of give us a little bit of hypo energy, and we're doing fly kicks and all sorts, just going, check it out, we can move.
There was a little bit of a learning curve, but yeah, we pulled it together.
How do you feel? Does it make you feel good? Yeah. Ah, cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you boil it down to, you're walking around in bright spandex, like,
yeah.
But the effect it has is unreal, and I'm pretty sure for you guys to actually be on an actual show, like, is just unbelievable. I mean, for me as a fan, yeah, I love it. I could walk down the street and it does make you feel powerful.
Yeah, it was awesome, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Cool. We are a young man at the front.
So if you could return on a series after yours as a legendary character, which series would that be? Apart from each other's, though, because that's just an easy answer.
Yeah.
For me, it would be Beast Morphers. The next one coming out. I'd want to be in that one.
Yeah, I think, look, I like the samurai side of things. So to come back on the samurai, I think the ninja and the samurai definitely go together. And as I say, you know, my character went off to be the head of the Thunder Ninja Academy. So to come back and be a part of the samurai, which is very tightly knit with the ninja thing, would be pretty cool.
I guess for me, to go back in any show, I would probably choose the original Mighty Morphin, or the Beast Morphers, right? Is that what you said? Or the one coming up next. Yeah.
I have a question for gentlemen here.
You guys have been doing Comic-Cons for quite some time. What's your most memorable fan experience, good or bad?
So I'll be honest, this is my 4th Comic-Con, so I've only been doing Comic-Cons for 2 years, but my most memorable was here at this Comic-Con when I met my #1 fan, Sarah Musgrove, who was dressed as me in my full Ranger outfit, and she's even got the ninja suit. She's got all sorts of stuff, and that for me is why I do these, because to meet those fans that have watched and taken something out of something you've done, which to begin with is just a job. When we get that, we're actors, we go and do this job, but then to actually feel that and feel that I've changed someone's life in some way is the most rewarding thing that I get out of doing the show at all. So that was yesterday, and that was my most memorable experience.
That's cool. Yeah, it's always nice to see when somebody comes up as dressed as your character. One fun one that we had recently, we had a group show up at our tables, but there were three variants of our character. And that was pretty fun for us to get in a little photo shoot with the whole group.
Yeah, there was 2 guys in the ninja suits. There was 2 guys dressed as the actual Rangers.
Our Japanese version.
No, there was 2 guys that actually they'd amalgamated our Ninja Storm characters with Mortal Kombat attire. So it was our motifs and our colors, but like this amazing Mortal Kombat armor, and yeah, it was a Morphicon, so that was pretty cool.
And the fan art, I always love getting some fan art. You know, it's somebody that's drawn your character.
I think for me that I can't say I've had many bad experiences. I've been doing these for longer than these guys, and so it's just these experiences are always so positive. To be honest with you, I can't think of a bad one. What's pretty cool is I've had people tattoo my autograph on them. There's one picture that I have of me shirtless that a lady had tattooed on her arm. So I have a picture of me shirtless of my face on her arm, and
I've got one too of you on the side. Right?
Yes,
it's on his butt cheek.
And he's getting the next one. So and then sometimes shows, specifically shows in Mexico and South America, the fans are just. You come out and it's just so many people, and people are in line for your autograph. So there's just an overwhelming support. I always laugh. I'm like, down in South America, we feel like the Beatles, you know. So so you see some of these experiences with just so many people that are excited to meet you, and it's just been nothing but positive.
And we got a question from a young man here.
What's your favorite Power Rangers series?
I think there's one called Ninja Storm. Yeah, that one would be my favorite. Well, that and maybe the original. I got to go with the one I was raised on, Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, look, I like all bits of all of them. Like I remember watching Time Force. I remember watching In Space, and you know that all of them sort of struck a chord with me. But yeah, look. I think it'd probably have to be the In Space.
And we've got time for one final question from a little young man here.
Wait for the belly move.
What's your favourite Power Ranger move?
The morph. That's what's for me. I like the morph.
Right?
Yeah, the morph would have to be the morph.
Yeah, I like the jump roundhouse kick. I do a couple of those in our series, and I actually did it in the audition to get the role. They said, "Have you got any moves you can pull out?" And I went, "Yep, bang," and did this jump roundhouse kick, and probably landed me the role anyway. They went, "Oh, well, okay." Yeah. So probably the jump roundhouse kick.
And that's all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. So please join me in a massive round of applause for our Power Ranger panelists today.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
I think we promised them a morph.
And you did promise a morph, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and thanks to all the parents who brought the kids. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'll follow you. Yep. You guys go in the front. You guys got your cameras? You're going to want to... It's a good time to get your camera. There's one up there if you want. See it? Yeah.
You ready?
Ready.
Thunderstorm, raging form, ha!
You guys got that down. All right, got a roll solo on this one, huh?
Ready? Time forward, time forward.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, keep the round of applause going one more time for our Power Rangers.
Thank
panel
you so
this
much,
afternoon.
guys.
Thanks for having us, guys. It's
And
been
don't
awesome.
forget, they are still signing. You can go and visit them in the autograph area, which is right next to the theatre. Please do go and say hi to them and get to meet these great guys. And next here on the theatre, we'll be joined by a